A very good morning to you. 5th of October 2020, brand new day, Monday morning. Welcome to Motivation Monday. My name is James Okumu. I've been eagerly waiting over the weekend for this day to get here so that we can have a discussion this morning that I know will inspire you and encourage you, because that's what we do on Motivation Monday, beginning the week on a high, reminding ourselves of who we are and that we are here to accomplish great and mighty things. Today, it's all about building again. You know, there's times in life when you have put all your effort into something, you know, and this was it, and things looked like they were working well, and then out of nowhere, everything just comes crumbling down. And you don't have the energy to build again. You're thinking, I'm done. Sometimes because of various circumstances, maybe you're thinking, I'm too old. Can I even do this again? Or you're thinking, where will I even get the resources to do this again? Or sometimes you're so afraid to change, you know, to reinvent yourself and to become something totally different because it means beginning from scratch. It's like you are going to school, you got all the way to university and you were just about to graduate, but then again you have to rebuild. You have to go back to class 1 and start learning new things again. Oh my goodness, you can rebuild again. I've seen stories of people who got into an accident and they became paralyzed, you know, from waist down, and they have to rebuild their lives again. And there are those who allow depression to just take them down a dark hole, but there are those who embrace, this is the new me, this is what I have, this is what I will work with, and then they go on to do great and mighty things. You can build again, but you have to believe that, and you have to give yourself the permission to be able to do that. And I hope that today's discussion will inspire you to begin building again and to stop having a pity party and feeling sorry for yourself and thinking there are no opportunities around you. And so, even as we prepare for our discussion for today, what is that thing probably you have convinced yourself, I'll never try it again. I don't think I have the energy. I don't think I have the resources. What is that thing? Is it a relationship? Is it a home? Is it a career? Is it a business? What is that thing you have thought, it's over and done with, there's no point trying again? Share that with me on 20316, WhatsApp 0786316316. I know without a doubt that will motivate you to pick up the pieces and start to rebuild again. I will be introducing to you our guest in the next short while. Amazing story. I'm sure what she has to share will challenge you and inspire you at the same time. Well, we're live on Family TV as well on this beautiful Monday morning. It is Motivation Monday, and today we're here to tell you that you can build again. Wonderful guest with me in studio via Zoom, corporate trainer and counselor Patricia Obiero. Patricia, how are you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you.
It's good to have you on the show again.
Yes, it's good to be here.
Yes, today we are building again. And I know you have a story in regards to building again. So before we even talk about how do I even get to start building again, share a bit of your story with us.
Thank you, Pastor James. My turnaround happened in the year 2015. That's when I lost everything that I had built for years.
What happened?
So I was in fashion industry, and then I used to import items from outside the country and bring them in.
Okay.
And according to me at that particular time, I believe I was doing well, because if you're doing imports and you can travel like 4 times in a year,
wow,
then you're probably doing well.
Not probably, you are doing well.
I'm trying to be nice. So you are actually doing well.
Yes.
Because you see that every single thing you have put, the effort that you have put, it's working. Because for you to even go out again, it's because you came, you sold, you got profit, and you went out. So as usual, when you grow in one area, you want to expand and venture into something else.
Yeah.
So I also decided to venture into agribusiness, because this one side is thriving. So let me also venture into something totally different. So I ventured into agribusiness, and then one day every single thing came down.
Oh.
You see, when you're building is hard.
Yeah.
And building is hard work. Really hard work. So when you're seeing your house come down, you're trying everything that you can to be able to hold it. But there comes a time that it refuses and there is nothing you can do about it, and you have to allow it to just go down.
Okay.
And then the other thing also that it's important to note is that when you have lost, you actually lose something in you. So it could be that you maybe lose confidence, you lose your identity, because most of us, whenever we meet someone and we ask, so what do? You say, hi, how are you? So it's been a long time, so what do you do? Then you want to introduce yourself with what you do. So if you have lost what you do, you don't even know how to introduce yourself, because it's your identity has been taken away.
Very true.
Yes.
So how did you lose everything? Out that be details, didn't napenda details.
You love detail.
Yes.
So what happened with the fashion industry is that I became ill.
Oh.
It's fashion industry, and then it's agribusiness, and then I also had a back problem.
Okay.
I became ill, and I was told that this happened because of the traveling and probably carrying heavy goods. So one of my discs has had an issue.
Yeah.
So in 2016 January, I was scheduled for a theater procedure. 2015, around October, all the way to December, I was unable to walk for a period of about 3 months because my legs had gone numb.
What?
And that is because of the back problem.
Yes.
So I am in bed. I am unable to do anything.
Yeah.
I have been working by myself. I believe I'm a hard-working person.
Yeah.
And here I am being told you need to rest. And you're not only resting, you are going through pain, because back pain is not a joke.
It's not a joke, yes.
So I am at home, I am resting, I am waiting for my scheduled appointment at the theater. That is in January 2016. And then the person that I had employed in the shop is busy stealing from me.
Oh my goodness.
I have no idea. I would never have an idea.
Yeah.
So when I realized this was 3 months into 2016,
yes,
that when I went back to the shop, and you know your things. So when you enter the shop at first, you see that there is something strange, but you really can't tell exactly what it is. So when you do a stock take, because mostly you find that there's a stock take we do with the people who we have employed, and then there's the one that you have for yourself.
Yeah.
So when I did that, I realized there was a very, very, very huge difference. So now the worst part is that the person who is stealing from you is not even able to give you half of what they have stolen from you. So when that is happening, I am recovering from the back problem. And at the same time, the agribusiness, we entered as an entity. All of a sudden, you're being told that the business is coming down and you have invested a lot of money in it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Is fashion what you always wanted to do?
It is what I still do. What I always wanted to do was to speak to people, was to motivate people, but I was afraid.
Oh.
I've always been afraid of it. So what happened is that everything that came down made me now come out, because there was nothing else that I could have done. So it's like God brought down everything so that he pushes me to what I am doing right now.
Okay.
Because if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be speaking now.
That is true. What happened to the agribusiness business?
It just went down. You know, when you're doing something as an entity, and then what we did is that sometimes we used to go and visit the farm in groups or in two people or 3 people. Let me just say we used to go and visit in groups. So during my time, when I took the 3 months break, and then immediately after that, again, I took another 3 months break. So much was happening. So much was happening. I do not have the energy to maybe start asking very many questions. But what happened is that we just went through a loss.
Okay.
Just went through a loss. Yes.
Okay. So at what point did you have the AGM with yourself to decide that, okay, this is how things are, something needs to change, and what came out of that AGM? Because I'm sure you must have had a meeting with yourself to figure out where you are and how you want to move forward. So how did that go?
I definitely did. I had 2016, I would say, was a year that I really can't tell the things that happened, because it was a year that it's like a past year. I hear that when you look at, you really can't put something down and say that this is what I did in 2016, because the entire 2016 was filled with pain, both physical pain and both emotional pain.
Oh, yes.
But I think my turnaround came again in October of 2016.
Wow.
That's when I began to realize that, Patricia, you have lost, but you need to build again. And for you to build again, you need to shut your ears and your eyes from external factors, because there are people who will come in and they will remind you, you are in fashion industry. Where are you speaking now? Go back to what you used to do.
Yes.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that whoever is listening right now, if they were doing one particular thing that they cannot go back to it, they actually can. But of course, you need to listen to also your intuition, what is telling you, and you also need to know God, what is telling you to do. So my turnaround was in October of 2016, but I actually had a meeting in January 2017, and that is when I.
Earlier on, you talked about fear. You know that you always wanted to speak and motivate and encourage people, but there was a fear. What was the fear, and how did you overcome it?
Speaking is not easy, Pastor James.
For some of us,
and
it is.
I remember, for some of you it's easy. For some of us, it's not, because I am introverted, extroverted.
Yeah.
So most of my moments I'm actually very quiet. So right now I'm speaking like this. You meet me in person, you'd be surprised. Is this the same person who was speaking to us?
Yeah.
So when I knew that I was going to be speaking was in the year 2008. Yes, that's when I knew that one day I would be a speaker.
Yeah.
But then when I began asking people, so how do people speak? How can you even become a motivational speaker? I think then motivational speakers just now began to slowly come up.
Yes.
So someone told me that it's very hard. You have to be researchful. You have to have the right content. And there was just so much. So I said, this is not for me. Let me just stick on my lane. Let me take a day at a time. And then one time I will know exactly what will happen. But then the fear was of failure.
Yes.
Because you do not want to go in front of people and fail.
Yeah.
You do not also want to go to speak to people and mix your words. You want to have clarity in every single thing that you're doing. Now, how did I overcome the fear? One, I had to join a public speaking club and learn how to speak, because speaking is a skill. Every single person can speak.
Yes.
So I had to do that and learn. And then, even as I joined this public speaking club, there's something that I also needed to do, which is I needed to put my hands at work. In terms of any opportunity I get to speak, I prepare well for it and I deliver.
Yes.
And also that we strive for progress and not perfect. Because one of the things that often makes us hold back is that we want to be perfect. You will never be perfect. Just strive for progress, give it your best, and then one day you will look at yourself and you will be happy.
That's good. That's good. So we'll talk about for that person who is where you are, what do they need to do in order for them to come to a place where they can start to rebuild again? You know, because sometimes there's a lot of emotional pain attached to some of these situations, because I'm even wondering, like with you, with the person who was stealing from you, how did you handle that whole situation? Did you confront them? Did you release them? Did you forgive them? How did you handle that, by the way?
The first thing that I did is something that I've never done all my life, because I had to take them to the police station first.
Okay, yes.
Because I had the entire evidence. So I had to take them to the police station. And my reason for taking them to the police station is that one, they could be able to learn, and then two, that I could be able to recover even just half of what they stole. But then when the next day I went to the police station, because then now someone sleeps and then the next day they would have probably gone to the court. So the next day when I went to the police station and the father of this girl came, it was a girl. And honestly speaking, when I looked at the father, I knew that even if I drain this man, he's not able to pay me exactly what I need. So at that point, I realized I have lost and I'm not going to get back everything that this girl has stolen from me. So the only option I did was I forgave her. I withdrew the case. I let her go.
Wow.
That's what I did.
That takes a big heart to be able to.
Yes, and it was painful.
It was. Oh my goodness. If you have any questions for us today, 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. You can build again. If Patricia was able to build again, get into something she was afraid of doing, you and I can also build again. She will give us some interesting and very powerful tips on how you can do that. That's coming up in the next short while. As we listen to some music inviting your questions, don't wait until 8:45 or 8:50 and then you bombard me with like 16 questions. No, ask them now. What is that area where you feel scared to start again? Motivation Monday. Today we are talking about building again. In studio with us via Zoom, corporate trainer, speaker and counselor Patricia Obiero with us, giving us tips on how you can build again. So Patricia, thank you for sharing your story with us. That serves as a good base point. Now let's get into what must I do? Supposing I'm at that place where you are, maybe I've lost a business, maybe my career has come to an end. I believe this COVID-19 pandemic has brought quite a number of things to an end, things the way we knew them. So where do I start in terms of rebuilding again?
The first step that you need to take is to take a break.
Oh.
Take a break so that you go through your loss and you recover from that loss.
Why is that important?
It is very important because every time you go through a loss, you are actually going through the stages of grief and loss. Most of us don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
So be it a phone, be it a relationship, there's a time that probably you'll be on denial. There's a time that probably you'll be bargaining. There is a time that you will be really hard on yourself because you're thinking, maybe if I could have done this better, then I couldn't have gone through this loss. So take that up. Take time. Recover also, and from the stress that comes with the loss, and also get back your mental resources. That's why it's very important to take up that break. And when I say take a break, it doesn't mean that you just now go home and sit. No. When you're taking a break, there are small things that you need to do. And the first thing that you need to do is you need to mourn your loss.
Oh. Okay.
Feel it. Do not reject whatever it is that you're feeling. Acknowledge what you're feeling. If you need to cry, cry it out. If you need to speak, speak it out. If you need to share, share it out. But do not forget to mourn your loss. It's very, very, very important, because a loss is a loss. A loss is not only when you lose a loved one.
Yeah.
A loss is any single thing that you put too much effort on and then it went.
Yes.
So take time to mourn. Then after you time to mourn, the next step is to take up a personal performance review. Whenever we look at performance review, we think we have to do it at work.
Yeah.
But you can actually do it for yourself, because remember, when you have lost something, when you lose, you lose something in yourself. It could be that you have lose your own confidence.
Yeah.
It can be that you have lose your own trust. So you need to do a personal performance appraisal. How do you do this?
Yes.
I'll just share how I personally do it. I do this by just sending a message to my friends and telling them, hey, could you kindly do an appraisal of me, of what you think or know about Patricia, and kindly include both the positive and both the negative. Now, this way, when the response comes, there are things that people will tell you about yourself that will shock you. Because sometimes you have strength that you don't even look at. Whenever you have lost something, you're looking at yourself as a failure. So you focus more on the negative. You don't focus on the positive.
Yes.
So you need people to come into your life and tell you both the negative and the positive things about you. Now, the negative, write them down somewhere, because those are areas of improvements.
Many of us don't.
And when you pardon?
Patricia, many of us don't take negative so well. We like being told things are okay, you're a great person. When somebody points out our weaknesses, many of us take it as a personal attack. So how do I navigate through that?
I think you just need to learn that when people give you a feedback, one, the feedback does not always have to be positive. So also learn to embrace the negative, because you actually learn more with the negative. So whenever you're being given a feedback, the negative, it is not something necessarily wrong.
Yeah.
It is just something that you need to improve on. That's why I call it an area of improvement. So embrace that teachable spirit in a way that you can be told something and you can just sit down and say that I will be intentional about working on this so that I improve on it.
Okay.
So like I was saying, write down the negatives and purpose to improve on them. And then now the positives, take them, and which this brings me now to the third point, the positives, take them and put them in what I call, I don't know if viewers can be able to see this, but I call this the jar of gratitude.
Oh.
This is my gratitude jar. I began working on this year.
Yeah.
So the reason why this gratitude jar is very important is because, Pastor James, you will doubt yourself.
Oh, yeah.
1,000,001 times,
Right, true.
especially after loss. You will go through what we call imposter syndrome.
Yes.
You'll be looking at yourself and thinking, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I am not confident enough. I am not a good speaker.
What was
so
I
you actually
thinking?
need, what was I thinking?
Yes.
You know, it's like when you're speaking before an audience, you actually think that your high school teacher would come and say, that person can't even speak.
Yes.
They don't even know what they are doing.
They will call
So
you
you're
out.
always doubting. Yes, you're always doubting yourself. And the world also has a way of slapping you black and blue.
Yes.
So the only way to remind yourself of the things that you have accomplished or the things that you are good at is by investing in something that I call the gratitude jar.
Okay.
For you, it doesn't necessarily have to be a jar. It can be a box. You can improvise, whatever it is that you want. If you want to write it down somewhere, write it down. Just do what works for you.
Yeah.
And I do this because what you see captures you more than what you hear.
Oh.
Over the years, I have learned not to trust my mind because you will be told something and you will forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But whenever you take it and you write it down, the more you see it, the more it is engraved even in your mind.
Yes.
So like I said, you take a break. And how do you take a break? You mourn your loss. That's the first. Then the second point, you undertake a personal performance appraisal.
Yeah.
And then the third point is that you invest in a gratitude jar, or you can improvise. Just have whatever gratitude, if it's a box, if it is a book, just invest in something because you need to remind yourself even of the milestones.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a year, for example, like 2020 is not wasted.
It's not.
When you actually look at your life so well, you will realize that there are very many milestones that you have accomplished, but because you have not recorded them down, you just look at 2020 like it's been a hard year. Even the fact that you have made it this far tells you that that's a milestone. You never committed suicide, you never gave up on yourself, and even the times that you were depressed, you picked up from it. Those are milestones. Record them down and put them somewhere.
You know, there's a very interesting article in the papers today about this lady, 35 years old, with a mother of 6 children, being admitted to JKUAT. You know, she sat for her KCPE in 1999, but she didn't go to secondary school. Instead, she got married in the year 2000. And now, 20 years later, she sat for her KCSE last year. You know, she went back to high school after 4 children. I was just reading that story and I was thinking, that is a very good picture of what we are talking about today. But many of us will not do that because I am married, I have 4 children. Niende shule nikae na watu wa form 1. What will people say? What will people think about me? How do you deal with that? Because honestly, many of us are so afraid of what others will say or our age or the lack of resources that we never do anything.
I think you have control of the within.
Yes.
Whatever happens internally, you have control of that. But you will never have control of without.
Yeah.
Because we will speak anyway. Whether you go to school or you don't, we will speak anyway. Whether you pick up your pieces or you don't, we will speak anyway. So what I like with the story that you're saying about this mother is the fact that she introduced herself to herself. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like she was introduced to herself. And what happens, you know, sometimes, most of the times we fear ourselves because we are actually too powerful.
Oh.
You looked at yourself and wondered, who is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
We are afraid of ourselves. And the moment you come face to face with yourself, you actually do exploits. And you will never care about what other people will say. You will just have clear focus of where you want to be and the things that you need to accomplish. Because this life is not waiting for you.
Yeah.
Every single person must fulfill purpose. I cannot fulfill purpose for you. You cannot fulfill it for me. So it's up to you to rise up from where you are sleeping or where you are seated and make a difference with your life.
Okay. How do we deal with the age factor? Because that's also another issue that... we don't like. First of all, many of us don't like change. And now, if change is coming in when we are in our 40s or our 50s, many of us will not even consider it because we think, I'm too old. This is what I've done all my life. This is all I know. I can't change. I guess if this can't work out, I'm doomed. How do we crack that age factor so that we give ourselves the permission to try something new and to rebuild again?
I think age factor should not limit you. And we are seeing this over and over now with social media, now that we are in a global world. We are seeing people doing exploits in their 70s, people building again in their 60s. For example, someone like the founder of McDonald's, when you look at his story, he built at a very late age. So age should not limit you. I actually feel that what limits people a lot is the aspect of self-motivation.
Oh.
Because I cannot push you to do what you're supposed to do. You need to be able to have that zeal within you, and you need to be able to push yourself so that you can do exactly what you want to do. When you look at age, all of us can decide to go home, Pastor James. Today you can decide to go home. You can decide that you're old. Because again, fine, even age is here in your mind. You can decide that you're old and say, now, let me just retire, or let me just go home. But age should never at any given time limit you. Do whatever it is that you're able to do.
Patricia, I read the story of this gentleman who wanted to be a doctor. But, in his earlier life, he did not get into the medical field. He had a full career in another space. And by the time he was getting to 55, he decided he wants to be a doctor. And he went back to school for 8 years. And he graduated. And he set up his own practice as a doctor. And I'm thinking, wow. For some reason, Patricia, some of us feel like when we get into our 50s, late 40s, 50s, it's almost like we are done. We are retired. Whoever came up with this retirement concept has messed us up. So when we get there, it's almost like we are done. I don't know what you can say about that.
And it's also a mindset. It's also a mindset, because right now, let me just use the example of training. Right now, I am seeing very many people going into fitness training. So people in their 30s, people in their 40s, people in their 50s, we have discovered that you can actually do this. But way back, you would find that there were people who probably would not be training. They would say this is for young people, later teenagers. It is, for example, people in their 20s. I'm in my 40s, my bones will not allow me. But right now, we actually see people just breaking off that mindset and saying that, Pastor James, allow me to just give a personal story. When I cleared Form 4, I did not go to college immediately. For me, I was different. I did not want to be a doctor. I did not want to be a nurse, a lawyer. I did not want all those professions that were there. I knew I wanted to become something, but that something was not defined during that time. So I didn't know how it looked like. So probably maybe if I would have studied in the US or in the UK, I would have known exactly what I wanted to do. So I took about 5 to 6 years. Can you imagine what I went through? And can you imagine what my parents were saying? You have refused to go to school. People are going to school. We now have money. We are able to pay for you. Why are you not? But I took my time. And it was very, 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 very hard. And then I went to college like about after 6 years. And that's when I discovered, I wanted to be a counselor. So this is actually what I wanted to do. And you see, then we did not have very many counselors or psychologists. So stay on your lane, walk your own path, Don't go with mob psychology, what
Yeah.
people say that you cannot do something in your 40s, in your 50s, or in your 60s. If you believe within you and you have self-motivation that you can do it, run for it.
Wow, I love that. What is that thing that you've been wanting to do lakini uko na wasiwasi, miaka imeenda, what will people say? What is that thing? Because today we want to challenge you to pick up the pieces and start doing it. If a 55-year-old can go back to school for 8 years to become a doctor, you know, I was listening to something the other day. Somebody was sharing how this person came to see them, you know, in their 40s. And same scenario we are talking about, Patricia. And they were so afraid to change careers. They were thinking, I'm done. What? I'm too old to go back to school. And this person who was writing the book said, he asked them, so, you know, at what point would you say a productive person in the society begins to work, gets into their career? And this person said, well, maybe 20 to, let's say 25 is when you can really say you're beginning to get into career, to know what you're doing. And the gentleman asked him, so what do you think is the lifespan of a human being? Energetic working lifespan. By what age would you say I'm still able to work? And he said, well, maybe 70. And the gentleman asked him, and how old are you? He was 42 by then, said, I'm 42. So 42 take away 25. How many years is that? And how many years do you still have remaining until you get to 70? And the guy realized, I haven't even lived half my life. And here I am thinking I'm old. And I think many of us think like that. That's why we are so afraid to start again. Aya, maswali zikuje 20316 SMS, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. 20 minutes before we get to 9 o'clock, you can build again. Motivation Monday, you can build again. That is what we are looking at today. Your SMS is coming in via SMS on 20316 and WhatsApp 0786 316 316. Joining us in studio today via Zoom, I have Patricia, who is talking to us and giving us vital information on how you can build again, even sharing parts of her personal story, how she had to rebuild again. Patricia, I have a question here from Maggie. Maggie says, I'm afraid and unsure to venture into real estate and to do a PhD considering my age as one of the main factors. What would you tell Maggie? Anaona yeye ni mzee sana.
So Maggie, thank you for that question. For real estate, I think you need to do a research first.
Mm-hmm.
It is normal to be afraid, and it's very important to be afraid. And remember, fear is learned. Anything that is learned can be unlearned.
Yes.
So how do you unlearn that fear? For example, for the real estate, you need to do a proper research of it. Do not enter with all your legs in. First, do a proper research, probably speak to 1 or 2 people who have done that. And then when you feel that you're ready and you're able to do it afraid.
Yes.
All of us do everything afraid. Do it anyway. Do it afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And for your PhD, the same thing applies. You need to look for money. And of course, you need to apply for it. And then you also need to do it afraid. Don't ever let age stand on your way. Do whatever you need to do. Don't ever let age stand on your way.
I read something the other day that really challenged me on the whole issue of age. Yeah? You know, you're probably 50 and you want to do a PhD. Let's use this as an example. You want to do a PhD.
Yes.
A PhD will take you how many years? I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe 3 years. Yeah. Let's just say 3-4 years. And so this person was saying 3-4 years later, you will be 54 without the PhD. Time will continue to move. So don't be afraid about age and thinking you're too old. You will still grow older anyway. Isn't it better for you to grow older and you have a PhD than to grow older and you don't have it and you're living in regret? And that one set me free to know that, you know what, age should never be a factor. As long as you're still breathing, go out and do what you need to do. There's another one here from Musili, John Musili in Masaku. He says, wonderful start indeed. I have I have an AGM with myself this corona times. I know where I want to go and what I want to do. I'm realizing I'm anxious, and sometimes I feel like my patience is slipping away. This is because I'm restarting what I used to do, and I know the potential in farming in my neighborhood. Which and what is the way forward for me?
The way forward is just what I told Maggie. You have to be afraid. Pastor James, building is not easy. Building is hard work.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear involved in it. And this fear comes out so that it stands out as resistance to us. Now, fear is like, it's like a glass. You have to purpose to go past it.
Yeah.
Because the only person who can limit you is the person who's staring back at you at the mirror.
Yes.
That's the only person who can limit you. You see, right now we are talking about fear and fear and fear. There is someone who right now has decided that immediately after this live session, I am going to work on XYZ. So be afraid, yes, but do not let that hold you back. And whatever the two have said just brings me to my second point, Pastor James.
Yeah.
And my second point is clean your house. Remember, after you take a break, clean your house.
Yeah.
And right now, Pastor James, if I ask you, where do you live? You'll give me a location and probably a house number.
Yeah.
But you actually don't live there.
Oh.
Your greatest house is here. You don't live there. You don't live in that house. You sleep in that house. But you ideally do not live in that house. And that is why in psychology we say that even people who have the biggest houses, they commit suicide.
Yes.
You can sleep in the best bed, but you still can commit suicide. So you live here. So get out of your mind into the real world. Because fear is limiting you here in your mind. So as you do that, how then do you clean your house? Get people around in your life. Get critics. These are people who will tell you that your problem is that you're always slow, or your problem is that you're not self-motivated, or your problem is that you let fear hold you back.
Yeah.
Then again, get mentors. Because remember, you have fallen. You're like a baby. You're starting a step-by-step walk. So get mentor. Get someone who will walk with you. Someone who will tell you, yes, you're going the right direction. This is not the right direction. So get that. And also at the same time, get cheerleaders. There is no one who does not want to be pat on the back and be told, you're doing well, Pastor James.
Yes.
Keep at it. That's a good shot. So get those people for you to be able to move forward.
Wow, I like that. I like that. Critics and people to encourage you. Both have their place. Both are important.
Both are important. And you can get a critic as a professional coach, or you can get a critic as a friend. Around us, we have friends who are critics.
Very true.
So you can actually even get a critic who is a friend, a mentor who is a friend, and a cheerleader who is a friend. Just look within your circle. There is wealth.
Wow. I love that because it reminds me earlier on in my radio career, I had such a friend who was a critic. They would tell me today your show was bad. And they would not mince their words. And they would tell me what was bad. They would tell me either your guest or the topic was not relevant or you did not speak fluently. They would give me pointers. And I loved them because they told me the truth. Because
and they helped a lot.
Yes. Without that truth, you can't grow.
You cannot grow.
Yes. Aya, what was number 3? You said you had 3 things.
Yes. So number 3 is have a clear goal.
Aha.
Remember, you have taken a break.
Yeah.
Then you have cleaned your house. So now we need you to have a clear goal. We have babied you enough. Now we need you to go out there and begin doing what you wanted to do. So when you're having a clear goal, of course, we usually say your goal has to be smart.
Yeah.
It has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and it also has to be time-bound. But remember these 3 points when it comes to having a clear goal. And the first point is have a process goal. Process goal is the process that you do. For example, you lost work. So now you need to apply. So go apply for the work. Or, for example, you want to start a business. Begin researching on this business.
Yes.
Then the second is performance goal. Performance goal is, for example, now you for example, you had lost a job. So you have decided in the process goal that let me apply for the goal.
Yeah.
Now performance, you're saying, as I am applying for that job, let me take a personal development class. Or let me learn on YouTube about building a business.
Yes.
Or let me learn on YouTube about being a good speaker. So you put some performance
Into
the
it.
goal that you want to do in the process.
Yeah.
And then last but not least is now the outcome goal. Now the outcome goal is now we see you, for example, with the viewer who had sent a message, we see you now holding your PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Or we see you now, you have already ventured into real estate. Or for example, we see you have already started farming.
Yeah.
So let your goals have process, let it have performance, and let it have outcome. And make sure that it's specific. And remember that our goal is not a resolution.
Yeah.
And that is why we fail a lot. When we begin the year, we begin resolutions, and towards the end of the year, we can't remember anything. Because resolution, you sit down and you resolve that this is what I want to do. But after you resolve, put specific goals down and work on them. So that at the end of the day, you can have something tangible and say, I resolve, and then I put my goals down, and this is what I have built over time.
Yeah. And one of the things I've realized, Patricia, is that a lot of people don't set goals. We have these dreams and wishful thinking and fears and regrets, but we don't actually set goals that drive us to achieve what we want to achieve. So even as we wrap up in the next 2 minutes, let's go back to our friend Maggie with the PhD and the real estate. You know, if we were to lay it down for her in terms of what you've just shared about the process, about what would you tell her to do?
I think I would tell her to first look at the two and weigh which one she would want to come first.
Okay.
Because it would be very hard to work on 2 or 3 projects at the same time.
Yeah.
And considering also maybe you're talking about age, so maybe I probably believe there are other things. You're not just this single person who wants to venture into real estate. You're also maybe an auntie, a mother, a wife, or there are very many things happening. So you have many responsibilities. So among the two, which one is more important? Then begin with that. So for example, let's say that the PhD is more important. Just an example.
Yeah.
Begin with that. Do a research. Where do you want to undertake this PhD? How long is it going to be? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 2 years? How much amount of money am I expected to pay as school fees? And then now after that, get the money. And then after that, begin. Just put very clear processes.
Yes.
Yeah, don't let it be an ambiguous goal. Be very specific about it, up to the nitty-gritty. Even if it means today, what can you do about it? Actually, for Maggie, I would tell her to begin today.
Yeah.
After this, go research on whichever thing that you feel weighs more and the one that you want to begin. Yeah. But at the end of the day, just do it. Do it afraid.
Wow. I love what you're sharing because it reminds me of something I read last week, just on the whole issue of goal setting. And this person was saying, you know, sometimes things look so big, but you have to break it down to the smallest piece possible and just focus on that one piece.
Yes.
What can I do today? You're done with it today. Celebrate that. Wait for tomorrow. Before long, you'll look back and you'll have eaten the whole elephant, one spoonful at a time.
Yes.
Well, Patricia, I'm out of time. What's your parting shot for us today?
My parting shot today is that every single thing that follows I am will come looking. So even as you're going out there to build, if you say, I am lazy, I am stupid, sorry to I am this, every single thing that follows I am will come looking for you. So even as you go out there, be very positive and speak something positive after I am.
Yes. Wow. Patricia, how can people find you on social media? I know people will want to reach out to you to interact with you more. How can we find you?
Instagram and Twitter, it's at Patricia Speaks 3. That's Instagram and Twitter at Patricia Speaks 3. LinkedIn, Facebook, Patricia Speaks, and YouTube, Patricia Speaks.
Patricia Speaks. Patricia, thank you for speaking to us. We appreciate you. So hook up with Patricia on social media. Look out for Patricia Speaks and get more nuggets from her. Unfortunately, I'm out of time for today. I hope that this interview has motivated you enough. Maggie, go for that PhD. My friend who's doing farming, go and do it again. If you have to do it afraid, but get it done because you can build again.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.